Our top story this half an hour is U.S.-China trade. Chinese and American officials agreeing to hold high-level talks in Washington early next month. Deputy-level discussions will take place this month to lay the groundwork. The plans come as each side ramps up tariffs. Joining me right now is the CEO of Cambria, Marty Davis, and it is great to see you, Marty. Thanks very much for joining us.
Good morning, Maria.
A privately owned company in Minnesota that's actually done very well in the face of these tariffs. Tell us about your reaction to first that we're going to see more talks in October.
Well, as we talked earlier on your show some time ago, our company filed petitions on a private direct basis, so we won our case, and now our activity is beginning to rebound for our company. But what we're really about right now is the people that haven't gotten themselves in that position yet, more on an America First basis and American manufacturing basis, and helping support the president and what is really in the face of a lot of criticism and condemnation about his policy from all sectors of our country, but most importantly from Wall Street and from public company CEOs.
And why do you think that is?
Well, I think short-term gain, long-term pain is the way Wall Street operates, and in some cases. And I mean, if you look at the history, really, if somebody would dig into the history of what created this mess with China that Trump is fixing, the smart guy in the room is President Trump. Bob Rubin, Larry Summers, Hank Paulson, and then even Cohn under Trump. These Goldman Sachs, Wall Street titans, not American titans, they baked a lot of this. They created this trade policy with China. They advised and influenced heavily President Clinton and President Bush, and now they're criticizing President Trump. And one just needs to look back at the testimony that they gave before the Congress and elsewhere in the late 90s, early 2000s. Look at Larry Summers' testimony. And now he's out here criticizing the president. The president is the only one that gets it, and is the only one that is interested in America, not interested in feathering his own nest.
Well, the president certainly has changed the conversation on China. There is no doubt about it. And, you know, people understand now the intellectual property theft that has been going on for so long. And for too long, CEOs were more interested in getting their product in front of the 1.4 billion person population in China than actually protecting their own goods. Having said that, the economy is slowing, and it has to do with the uncertainty around this trade war, right? I mean, CapEx is down. People are worried that this is going to take steam out of the economic growth that the president actually led because of his tax legislation. So what about that?
Well, I think that you have to play the long-term game here. This is a 25-year practice round that Wall Street and the Bush and Clinton administrations created, and it didn't work at all. It's been very, very challenging for U.S. manufacturing and ultimately the underpinning of the U.S. economy.
Tell me what you faced at Cambria. I mean, you know, dumping of products from China. How do you know so much about how business has been impacted? Give us the background.
Well, we lived in it where we saw the Chinese government fund the raw materials and the manufacturing and the entire infrastructure costs of our industry, of our product production industry around Quartz Surfacing, and dump the product into America. And what I get a kick out of is Rubin and Paulson and Summers and Cohn and these supposed intellects of Wall Street using the term free trade so loosely. For them to suggest that what we have going on over the last 20 years under their authorship was free trade that's a great travesty of this story. What a fake narrative they brought forward. It's not free trade. You cannot have free trade with a foreign dictatorship, a communist dictatorship, who's frankly just harvesting the prosperity of an American democracy. So this free trade line is such a false narrative when you're dealing with China.
And you've seen it firsthand. Your company makes Quartz Surfaces, right? Quartz Surfaces, rather. Tell us about that. So, I mean, it may very well. I think we have that quartz in our kitchen here.
Yes, you do. You have our product here. Thank you for that.
So
we make Quartz surfaces
for counters,
for
kitchen tops,
flooring,
and China was bringing quartz in and dumping the product at cheaper prices.
In 4 years under great subsidy, after we founded our company in 2001, President Bush's administration, encouraged entrepreneurship. Had I known that at the time we were risking our family's business to invest in such a wide-ranging industry of quartz surfacing and develop a new business, that at the same time they were making deals with China that was going to end up undermining our very business platform. And that's what happened in 2012 and 13. China came pouring into a market that we and others created in the U.S., and under great subsidy from their government and their state-owned banks and so forth, they came in and basically hijacked our industry.
Yeah, and that's the same thing happened with steel.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing.
And it's going to happen with airlines. It's going to happen with medical devices. It's going to happen. It happened with aluminum. It's going to. It's happening in all areas. I mean, of
Why do you
our
say that?
sector.
Why do you think it's going to happen in all these other areas? Because China wants to be number one.
China's smart, and they know what they're doing, and they're able to play Wall Street. I mean, why is Goldman Sachs supporting? You look at the article written in the New York Times about a year ago. It was an excellent article about all the Wall Street titans, including Blackstone, that were heading over to China to meet up with the China brass, the top 2 or 3 guys under Xi over there, and to develop a strategy with how to, help China negotiate with Trump, in essence. And why is the Blackstone CEO, he's got a $500 million scholarship in China. Why? Why does Goldman purport that they're going to support China and a $5 billion worth of support in investing in American companies, getting stake in American companies? This China, Trump is not benefiting from his efforts on China.
Yeah.
Wall Street is benefiting from their efforts on China. And these guys have made several $100 million personally as this whole thing has played out over the last 25 years.
I think some of this stuff is cultural. I mean, the theft of intellectual property, I don't think you can change very much, unless, I mean, especially when you have a dictator for life in place. However, the U.S. trade gap did narrow last month, in July, rather. Manufacturing weakness held down imports on business equipment and supplies. What did you think of that? And in terms of a potential trade deal, is it even possible that the U.S. can do a deal with China to agree on things like intellectual property theft and the dumping of the products that you're talking about?
If President Trump wins the election, yes. I think he will sustain it, and China will know it's serious. Right now, he's running in an election where Wall Street titans are criticizing him. Rubin's out criticizing him. Summers is out criticizing him. Hank Paulson's backed off a bit, not enough.
After Paulson was Geithner, by the way, we talked about it in the commercial break.
And that's what's hurting the president's position and his trade team, is we can't even get Wall Street on the same page with what's best for America. And what's best for America, in many cases, has proven not to be best for Wall Street on the short term. And I think that's the challenge. And I think it's the challenge with American companies' public CEOs who look for short-term, cheap raw materials and understand that that's going to benefit them on the short term. And they have very short life cycles in their companies.
So you're not uncomfortable with all these massive, wild swings for the stock market when people get nervous about a deal not happening?
It'll settle out. It's going to be a lot worse for this country long term if we would have continued down the path of the Clinton, Bush, and Wall Street platform that was being built and had been really executed until Trump came along and really saved the middle class in his efforts here. He's the only one fighting for the middle class. Wall Street is not. And Bush and Clinton administration, under the Bush administration, they even deflected the safeguard actions that American private companies took in those years and actually shot them down. And this stuff is all factually, illustrated in a variety of testimony and articles and writings that have been put forth. So the American people need to get educated, and we're very fortunate to have Trump in this position. He is the smart guy in the room. I like when these Wall Streeters talk about they're smarter than Trump. No, they're not.
Marty,
Trump is the smart guy.
It's great to have your insights on this, and you've seen it firsthand.
I have, and they didn't. I think they owe us an apology, not the other way around.
Marty, great to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Marty Davis is the CEO of Cambria, joining us there.